Hi, I'm Carl Sagno, and thanks for joining us on the Open Source News. The following segment will promise you 2 interviews, deliver you none, but hopefully still be interesting. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Carl Sagno, and this is the Open Source News. I'd like to talk to you for a moment about the internet and politics. This is not news, and this is not really an interview. It's more of an IOU. 2 or 3 days ago, I had a chat with a good friend of mine who works for a company called Banyak Films, and they've just finished putting together a documentary called Us Now, about how the internet could completely reshape the social and political landscape of especially developed countries. It was an exciting conversation, even thrilling. One of those moments where all these ideas come together and click, and you go, yes! We had that conversation over the phone, and a few minutes later, my friend's Skype connection broke down, and he had to go to Morocco for Christmas holidays the next morning. So we will have an interview with a representative from Banyak Films about the Us Now project, probably in about a week and a half. For the moment, I just want to spend a minute or two talking about the Us Now project and the implications. You can check it out. It's usnowfilm.com, all one word. Here's the link. The question the filmmakers were asking was as follows, quote, "In a world in which information is like air, what happens to power?" In some ways, the Obama campaign shows us that governments can rise or fall based on that free flow of information. But also policy can rise or fall. And here I'm going to promise you another interview. Doing my usual obsessive searching around on the internet for news stories, I came across the website and blog of a man named Michael Geist. Michael Geist specializes in internet-related copyright law and teaches at the University of Ottawa. In 2007, faced with the chance that the Canadian Parliament would pass legislation clamping down on copyright law, Michael Geist started a campaign. Dubbed Fair Copywrite Canada, this campaign pretty much exclusively used networking tools on the internet like Facebook, blogs, websites, and managed to stop this copyright legislation in its tracks with the support of thousands and thousands of people. I'm sure you can imagine how exciting I find this kind of stuff. So somehow I got it in my head to send him a cold email. We hadn't met one another, we hadn't talked to one another. But nevertheless, I sent the email, and within 24 hours he responded saying he was going on vacation too, but would be glad to give me an interview in the new year. And I'm going to have to come up with some pretty good questions, because that's kind of nerve-wracking. Anyway, that's my second promise to you. An interview with Michael Geist seems very likely in the next week or two as well. Michael Geist and his Fair Copyright Campaign shows us in Canadian society that through internet networking, the public interest can not only make it into Parliament, but have an impact on legislation. And of course, this is a global phenomenon. We've had an interview already with Alina D'Amelia from Turin, who talked about the Berlusconi years and the problem with media concentration in Italy. In an environment of excessive media concentration, where you have a technology like the internet that can amplify people's voice, figures in internet politics just seem to pop up. In Italy, you have a former television personality gone political blogger called beppegrillo. He's been a ray of hope and an outlet for the frustration of thousands of Italians who want to see politicians, for instance, who've been convicted and imprisoned in some cases, taken out of politics. Despite the fact that originally his blog was only in Italian, this campaign attracted the interest of thousands of Americans, Canadians, and English speakers across the world as well. Such that now there is, albeit a kind of strangely translated English version of the page, and some of the videos that he has up are quite good. There's one in particular, an interview with Lester Brown of the Earth Policy Institute, that offers an innovative idea of how you could rethink the economy faced with climate change. Here's the link. These different figures might seem unrelated to one another. The Us Now documentary puts all these pieces together. It reminds us that we live in a world where the technology exists to allow the entire population of a country to vote on any act passed in Parliament. It reminds us that we live in a world where people who work a full job can come home, spend 5 minutes on politics in their spare time, and still have an impact and a voice. Since the inception of democracy, we've relied on representatives that speak for our interests, in theory at least, to make decisions for us. The question this documentary asks is, what if we could represent ourselves? I put together a campaign video on the idea that you need a society to be open and that the internet is a big opportunity in that regard. All I was doing was groping around in the dark. You want to see the potential for internet and politics? Check this documentary out. Thanks for watching the Open Source News. Please contribute, not your money, but your ideas, your videos, and your thoughts, if you feel like it. It's a complicated, troubled world out there. Let's try and figure this thing out together. Thanks again.